Tomb Raider games are primarily known for being on the PlayStation, but they have had some titles on other consoles. They're probably a little bit more obscure, so today it's time to throw it back to the year 2000 and have a look at Tomb Raider on the Game Boy Color. Yes, there was a Game Boy version of Tomb Raider. It was released in the summer of 2000 across the globe. It was known as Tomb Raider the Nightmare Stone in some regions. It was still made by Core Design. Eidos still had their logo on the game's box, but it was published by THQ. This was due to them having an extensive background of publishing games for the system. You could do most things that Lara normally does in the PlayStation games at the time: pull switches, shoot enemies and avoid traps. This was the first game in the series to be produced for a handheld console, and it was also the first game in 2D. Yeah, it's a side-scroller, and it's also a little bit clunky to today's modern standards. But for a Game Boy Color game, it's fine. Controls wise, as I've mentioned, it can be a little bit irresponsive at times. You might want to do a basic jump and grab to climb, let's say, a wall, and Lara will instead do this stumbling animation. This isn't a one-off either. This does happen over and over and over again. This is due to the limitations of the system, with only the A, B and select buttons used to do lots of different actions, whether that's climbing, shooting, rolling or jumping. It is a positive that they've added so many of these features into this release, but as I mentioned, it can get frustrating at times when you want to do one thing and the game does something completely different. More features were added in later sequels: Tomb Raider the Curse of the Sword and Tomb Raider the Prophecy. This version of Tomb Raider had 14 levels within 5 areas, so a pretty decent chunk of gameplay there for something that was on the Game Boy. And it also actually ranked pretty highly too, with a rough average of 79% across all of its critical reception and review scores. Graphically, it is pixelated and blocky. A lot of Game Boy Color games at the time were, so for the game's era and the system that it's being played on, I'd still say graphically it's pretty standard. While the PlayStation version of Tomb Raider had FMVs, this version on the Game Boy Color used stills from what could have been FMVs as well as text on screen to help drive its narrative. Back in the day, were you a handheld gamer? If you were, did you play this version of Tomb Raider? If you weren't, and you just stuck to the main series, is this a game that you even knew about? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like these look-backs at older video games, stay tuned to the channel because there'll be plenty more throwbacks coming soon.